everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a super fun project for you that's all about personalizing crocheted patriotic hats. Learn a new crochet stitch that creates a canvas that you can cross stitch over. So let's get started. For this project, I used 220 Superwash from Cascade yarns, a tapestry needle with a large eye and a curved point, and a pair of sharp scissors. For this example, I've just used the solid color crochet patriotic hat pattern. I've done the rib stitch, one row of single crochet, and then added the waistcoat stitching, and then finished with half double crochet. So it's like adding an insert of waistcoat stitching in the solid color pattern. One of the things that you'll notice about the waistcoat stitching is that it does have a tendency to slant because we are crocheting in the round. So I did wash and block this piece so that I could get my stitching to stand as straight as possible in a row. So I am going to start right here with this insert. We have some pattern choices that we can make that I've included in a download for you. We have comma la, or we can just write vote on our hat. So that fits very nicely in this section. I've done some work for you in terms of this vote is 29 stitches across and 8 rows down, and I've marked the middles so that you can line up exactly where you're going to make your placement on your hat. I've done the exact same thing with the Kamala pattern, showing the middles horizontally and vertically. And let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how I mark out the center on my project to figure out where I should start stitching. I've gone ahead and cut myself about 24 inches of the Cascade 220 fiber. So I've just reached in. I just want to have a thinner piece so that I can mark out where my project is going to go. I want to do the Kamala on this particular project. I need to count how many rows of the waistcoat stitch that I did. You count your stitches by the V's. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have about 15 rows. So I think in order to make this pattern look good, because the L comes up high and the comma comes down low, I'll go ahead and start one row above where I added the white. And I'm going to outline where this is going to go on my hat. It's 19 stitches wide. So now I need to count where my middle row is. So I will count over the amount of stitches, the rows that I have to find my middle, and I have about 38 rows. Half of 38 is 19, so I'm going to count over 19 rows. 19 rows, and I know that I want to start my project about one row up. So 19 is here. This is where I want to start, and I am going to go ahead and give myself a little running stitch of my outline. This will come out later, but at least it will give me a block of where I want this pattern to go in my hat. So I'm just going to go over half the stitches, come up 14 rows, go over 19, and make a square right here. And I'm just coming up through one row and down another. This does not need to be perfect. It's like doing a basting stitch, but it just gives us that idea of where we want to go. So now you know where you're going to be putting your design, and you can take a peek now and decide if that's exactly where you want it to go. Is that the halfway point? Does that look right for you? You can try your hat on and you can decide, is that the right spot? This is where you'll start. Something that is really super cool about this particular stitch, if I pull it open, you can see that it creates this grid, and it really gives me, let me get my needle, it gives me those 4 points of where cross stitch goes. And I'm just going to work in these 4 points around to make the cross stitches. I am going to be working with about 12 inches of fiber at a time because I want to unply the fiber, because when it's all twisted, it doesn't cover the stitch quite, like you're not going to get the coverage that you might be hoping for. But I'm just going to go ahead and take these apart. I am going to use all 4 plies. So I've just put this, now I have 2 plies left in this section. And I'm going to get all of the twisting out of the fiber. And once you have your plies separated, just go ahead and get them to relax a little bit. And then once you have all of your plies, you just don't want to have any twisting. Once you have all of your plies untwisted, you're going to put them back together again. So now let's come back and look at our pattern. And I think the easiest thing for me to do is to probably begin with the L, because that goes right straight down the center of my project here. I am going to count over 8 and then start in that 9th spot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I want to start in this spot right here. So for cross stitch, the best way to do cross stitch is to put down all of one direction of a stitch at once. And I'm going to leave about this much of a tail because I'll weave that in at the end. So I'm just going to come right up here to the next corner of that stitch and put my yarn down. And then I'll come back up at the bottom corner because I want to do all of my diagonals going the same way. And we're going to have 2. Our center is 2. And you want to watch what your tail is doing under here because he will want to get involved in everything. So you kind of want to keep that one separate and let that stitch be a little bit loose. Okay. So we'll put in these 2. And now I'm going to come down straight, and I'm going to come down straight for how many stitches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches. So now I'm just going to keep following that same pattern and keep my stitches going at the diagonal for 11 stitches, watching all my tails under here, watching sure that that tail stays separate from everything else. And I'm just looking for the box that waistcoat stitch made. It's a really nice stitch because it gives you that easy way to follow a grid. Now I've come right back up here to the top, and now what I want to do is pick up that little stitch that's over here on the side, and then we'll start crossing all of these and picking up the stitch that's down there on the other side. Now this time we're coming over the crosses Now it's just a matter of following our chart. And if you feel like you need to, you can puff up your little stitches and get them to fill in a little bit more. But I'll just move over here to the A, and then lastly, I'll do the comma. Once you have all your stitching done, just turn it to the back, weave in those ends. We'll just slip it right down in here. I think I'll bring it back up just to keep that tail up here. Trim that off. And then we'll take out our basting stitches. I like to use the Tapestry needle because it's a little bit easier, and I look for the beginnings. And you can just go right around and take that basting stitching right out. These were just your markings. And how cute is that design? And there we go, just like that, you have a little cross-stitched Kamala on your hat. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more crochet content, and share your creations with me using the hashtag craftingwithjoy. Happy crocheting, and I'll see you in the next video.